Hey, good evening, good morning, good lunchtime, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome to sunny Edinburgh. So I've just been playing about with some lower thirds today, so I thought I would share these out. I've also just been watching Adrian on his Ecamm challenge and dealing with 200 odd people asking questions all at the same time. Goodness gracious me, I don't want to be doing that. So anyway, back to lower thirds. Why is it better in Ecamm? I've already sort of talked about this earlier in the group, but very, very simply, I think that now with 4.1 and the shapes overlays, that you can do things in Ecamm very, very easily and keep everything in a single package. So you're not juggling multiple tools. So you're not having to worry about bringing in Keynote and green screen on Keynote, or going to Uno or Canva or whatever else it happens to be, in a different tool entirely, and then recreating something every time you want to have a new overlay for lower thirds. So if you do it all in Ecamm, it's all in one place and it can look very smart indeed. So in fact, all of this agenda that I'm doing here, that's all in Ecamm as well. So nowadays you can really, really leverage the power of Ecamm and all the new stuff that's in there to do pretty much anything that you can do in any of the other tools fairly easily, with the exception of maybe Magic Move, which is very cool in Keynote. But most things, I think, in terms of keeping things smart and looking clean, you can do just in Ecamm. Now, one of the problems that you may have is that within Ecamm, if you've tried doing this previously, you might have had a sort of a lag thing going on where different shapes sort of move in at different times. Well, there are ways that you can avoid that lag, and simply by using the shrink to text box, which is new in 4.1, that definitely helps with keeping everything aligned. And the trick is to keep everything to one location or one anchor point. So I'm going to talk through how to do that in a little bit. I've already done it before, but that, along with the ability to add a little bit of buffering inside the shapes to move the text around, will allow you to bring in everything all at once. Can you build them all in a couple of minutes? Yes, absolutely you can. I'm going to show you how to do that. But even better still, I've created a whole bunch of example downloads because people seem to want to grab them. So I'm going to show you where you can grab those from, and therefore you don't even have to build them. You can just literally go grab a folder and drop in your lower third, and then just position it on the screen where you want it to be, change the text, change the colors, and you're golden, you're done. So what are they? What do they look like? So here we go. So I've created 18 different ones and tweaked these a little bit about since the demo that I did yesterday, I think, or the day before, and just made them look a little bit neater and tidy. So I'll come back to this in a moment or two, but what I thought I'd do first of all is just walk you through what potentially they look like on a scene. So here we go. So there we are, my design dropping in all in one rather than having any lag on it. So let's make that disappear and come in again. So as it comes in, it all comes in one lump, so to speak. And what I can also do as well, I've designed the overlays so that sometimes we could have a little bit of them disappear. So I could go to my next scene where, if you've read my name, you don't need to see my name sitting there all the time, or at least that's my opinion. So I might want to go to my next scene where I just gently fade out the whole name and just leave my initial in the corner, which is something it will be a bit more tricky to do in those other packages, but you can do it in Ecamm. So let's have a look at a couple of other examples. So maybe I've got a very, very simple, neat looking lower third here with just 3 boxes and a name on it, and I can go change the colors in those boxes, or I can put gradients on them, or even moving gradients if you really, really want to. But I may also want to stretch that out a little bit to have a longer description. So I could have something like this, where I've got a longer description with my job title on it. And then same sort of trick again. Once you've read that, you don't need to read it again. So I might just fade that out a little bit so that I've just got a shortened version of the same overlay sitting in there in the lower third position. So I quite like the look of that. So I started playing about with a couple of others. So here's another one. So Mary is my guest. This won't work so well if people have got the same initials for, Martin McKenna and Mick McCarthy. That's not going to work so well. But providing people have got different initials, potentially you could bring up your overlay with the full name on and then just fade it out so that I've just got a little text box there showing just my initials on it, and I quite like that. I think it's fairly sort of fresh and clean. So that's another thing that you can do easily in Ecamm. So a couple of the other designs that I've dropped in there. This one obviously is meant to sit below the camera boxes, and all I've done there actually is gone and grabbed a little screen grab of the shape of the background from a picture. So simple as that, and then put some text over the top and a little box at the bottom. So you don't have to be, I guess, restricted by the way that the Ecamm shapes work. If you don't want to, you can go grab a little image from anywhere at all and just use that as your background, and then match in all the colors by using color droppers, etc., so that it fits in nicely with your look and feel. Other things that I've done, because I was getting a bit carried away, I designed this one and one of the others as well, I think, to sort of hang off the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. So again, it's just a different look and feel, and I could grab that and extend it and move it round if I wanted to as well. One thing that you can't do is grab everything at once, which is one of the big advantages that Keynote and indeed all the other packages have, which you can grab everything in a group and extend it or shrink it. You can't do that in Ecamm. So hopefully that feature will be coming. I know a lot of people, including myself and Fulgens and Paul Dixon, have all asked for that. So hopefully Ken and Glenn are listening, and perhaps we'll get that feature coming soon. But back to the whole overlay example image. So this is where I now go into my bête noire, which is having to go into live demo mode. So here we're going to go into live demo mode, and then I'm going to attempt to zoom in so you can see what is in the overlays here. So what I've created is a single scene in Ecamm, and within that scene it's got all of these 18 different designs, but it's very, very easy to use the scene. You can just grab it and drop it into your profile, and then within those within that scene it's got a number of folders, and each one's probably got, well, maybe up to 6 different elements in it which make up my design. Some of them a few less, and some of them perhaps even only 2. So all of these folders will be sitting there, and you can just go grab the folder that you want to use with the design you like and drop it into the profile that you want to use it on. So let us go on to the next scene, and I'll show you a couple of examples. So I've got a pretty big head now, haven't I? So anyway, design 1, which was the top example there, I'm just going to talk you through how that's been put together. I mentioned earlier on that you want to anchor everything to one side. So all of these are designed to fly in from the right hand side to the left. If you try and do it in the opposite direction, you're going to get that lag effect going on, or even up and down sometimes it will give you a bit of a lag effect as well. So these designs are all designed to come in from one side, from the right hand side to the left, and that's what they're going to do. So hide it, show it, and it's all going to come in at once nice and neatly. And the reason it's all coming in together is everything's anchored to the left hand side. So if I go and hide a couple of things, you will see that that box, if you watch carefully, it actually comes all the way to the left hand side. So if I hide that one, that's also on the left hand side. So again, there's this one as well. moved it to the left hand side. So I've literally layered everything up starting from the left and going to the right, so that there is a single point which Ecamm looks at and brings everything in from all at once. You'll also notice, if you're very sharp-eyed, that these two text boxes here, which are the shrink to fit text boxes, have got a whole bunch of X's sitting in front of the words Design Engineer and Martin McKenna. And so if I go click on this and go to edit that text, it's jumped right over here. Let's pull that somewhere more sensible. What I've actually got in here is a whole bunch of X's, and I've gone to the text color and made the text color 0 opacity. So what that's doing is, cancel out of that. What that's doing is that's padding out the text and moving it over. And that's just so as I can position the text within that light blue box in the right position. Otherwise it's going to move to the left or to the right or to the middle, and I may not want it there. So the way I've done, or I suppose done a workaround, is by putting those invisible X's in the front, and it just shifts everything along a little bit. So that's design number one, and one of the more complicated designs. What I also did there, when I was just having my letter M in the corner, all I was doing really is turning off these elements here, so that the ones that I don't need, I just hide in that particular scene. So when I bring that in and out, or if I'm leaving it standard where it is without flying it in and out, then I just have my letter M. So that's how I have designed a couple of those, so you can turn things off and just have that particular element in that scene. So let's have a look at this one as well, just to show you how simple the designs can actually be, because they can be really, really simple. So this one, literally, it is a dot and a text box and nothing else. So the text box itself, all I have done is I have added in a shadow, and a white shadow in this particular case. I've turned off the blur, and then I can move the distance around of that in the background to give me that kind of nice effect. And I can change the angle on that as well if I want to, and move it around. But it's as simple as that. And then I can maybe use the color picker to match that in with something else within that particular design. And then if I go to the dot here, all that is an emoji of a circle. And again, if I go to edit the background, in fact I need to come into the other edit for that, don't I? In here I put a shadow on that as well, turned off the blur, white shadow, and again I can move the distance around for that. So if I preferred to have it like that, then I can do that. So really, really simple, that particular one. And that one you can just go grab it and shrink and change the size, and the text will change automatically with it. And I could move my little dots down if I'd unlink the group. That link there, guys, that's what allows you to move things all at once. If you unlink it, it's now going to let me come onto that box there and move those items down so they line up more where I want them to be. So simple ones, then yes, you can go grab them and shrink and size them. More complicated ones, not so much. But something like this one here, where I extended it before, what I can do is I can grab that, maybe move out my text there, and I'm just going to lock that text box so it doesn't jump in there, and I can grab and extend that. So that's all I've done when I extended that particular one. So there's another different example of another design, but all fairly simple really. So this one here, where I've called it color, this is a background which is literally just a picture. So I've just gone and screen grabbed a picture and dropped it in. Now with that particular one, what I've also done here is dropped in some text and a couple of little circles, so exactly the same as with the Alan Thompson design, but I've also put a rectangle over the top. Why have I done that? Just to play about, really. So that rectangle is now sitting over the top of all of Terry and Terry Crown. So if I show that rectangle, suddenly everything's changed colour. So, and it's blended in nicely as well with the background. So how have I done that? So very simply, I've just put a colour box over it of blue and then chose a blend mode of colour. And that's going to change all of the colours within that box. And I could have done that on absolutely any of these overlays as well. So by changing that to, let's say, divide, it's going to have a dramatic effect on the colouring going on that box. So dependent on which one I choose, it's going to jump about all over the place. But I can experiment with that to my heart's content. I can also go change the colour itself. And a combination of those will get you all sorts of different effects very, very easily within Ecamm only. So there we go, playing about with multiple different things. Very, very simple to do. But what about if I want to actually use some of these? So let me come out of that bit there. And I'm going to jump up into my previous lower thirds element here. So this is where I've got all of my designs. So let's say I want design number 3. I can either click and drag that onto my demo, or if I get it in the right place, so click and drag it onto the demo, or I can do Control C, Control V, but that's all I'm going to do. So my overlay has now appeared, and because it's all linked together, literally all I do is drag it to wherever I want it to be on the screen all at once. And all I've done literally is grab that folder and move the whole folder into this scene. So it's as simple as that. All you're doing is dragging and dropping them onto a scene as a whole folder. So don't use it as individual elements, just drag and drop the whole scene. And if you then want to start to change colors or something like that, then clearly you can start doing that as well. So if I change my colors, and maybe I change the dropper there, and I want that color to be dark, and then I come down here, and I'm obviously going to want to change the text color there. So let's just change the text. And we'll choose white, I think, for that. So I've got a white change there, and I might want to change that rectangle as well. So let me go into there. So instead of having that, let's have that as a gradient. So there we've got a gradient text as well. So that's how easy it is to change everything to whatever you want it to be, really. So Ecamm only, my findings are that it's just as easy to create this sort of stuff in Ecamm only as it is to go ahead and jump into another package and create everything in there. So that's just me creating those within a few minutes. So I guess I need to come out of live demo mode here and go on to where you can actually get these profiles from. So this is where you can get them from. My store is Stream Profiles at sellfy.store, sellfy.store. If you go to the store, you will find that the first thing it's going to present you with is this lower thirds for the Ecamm fam at a price of $0, which is a very good price. You will need to go through the Shopify, it's not Shopify, it's Sellfy, store process to buy something. So you will need to go say, put that into my shopping cart and go to buy it. At that point, you'll get the option to choose the value for that. And if you set the value to 0, then it will take you through the free process for the download. So you won't be asked to put in any credit card details or anything like that. It would be very nice if you also at that point ticked the box that says join up to the subscription mailing list so that you can find out more stuff that's going to appear, and also have a wander around the store and have a look at the other stuff. It's all a work in progress at the moment. I haven't really tested everything in detail, but the idea is there's going to be a whole load of things in there, some of which will be free, some of which will be paid for, but lots of different assets that you can use with Ecamm to sort of up your game. So that's where you can go find it. One thing that I did note, a couple of people had problems with their email addresses occasionally, and the file itself didn't get delivered. So if you do have that problem, just try using a different email address. Occasionally, if you've used your email address for email marketing or something like that, what you'll find is that you could possibly have been blacklisted somewhere or other. And occasionally the store won't like that because it thinks it's maybe got a bot coming in doing something. So just try a different email address if it doesn't come through first time. But the vast majority of people it does. So you'll get a link, you'll click on the link, it'll give you a download. It will download literally an Ecamm scene. And all you have to do with Ecamm only open is go grab that scene and drag it onto your profile, and then you'll have those 18 different lower thirds to go play with. So hopefully people will find them easy to use. If there's any challenges, then do let me know in the comments, and I would love to see people actually using these on a live as well. That would be really cool. But for tonight, I guess that's all from me from Edinburgh. So cheerio, night night, see you later, bye.